You thought just because February had rolled around, the coaching carousel was done. Ha ha! You couldn't be more wrong. We could see a major offensive coordinator, a Power 4 head coach out of the Big Ten depart within the next week or so, depending on what moves get made. And then there's this factor. There's this factor, and that's Bill O'Brien, who has been a head coach in his day, going back to his time at Penn State and with the Houston Texans. And given his career track record, it is indicative to me, or clear to me, I should say, that Bill O'Brien desires to be a head coach again. Well, what do you know? There is suddenly an opening out east in the ACC because Jeff Hafley said, I'm done. I'm not into this college football sort of thing anymore. I want to be a defensive coordinator in the NFL. And AJ Black over at Locked On Boston College had this to say about the prospect of making Bill O'Brien the next head coach of Boston College football and why it makes a lot of sense.
He has a long list of success. He's coached. That checks off a huge box for Boston College. We do not need, I've seen names thrown around like Al Washington. I love Al Washington. I was there when he was a player there, but he's a defensive line coach. Boston College needs a coach that has experience, that has done this. They can't get another Jeff Hafley who's learning on the job. Bill O'Brien won't be learning on the job. He knows what he's doing. He has done this at a high level. If you've been able to do this for the Patriots as an offensive coordinator, but more so as an NFL head coach and a college head coach and have had success at both, you can do it at Boston College. I trust that he would be able to put together a staff that would meet the needs of this program. I feel he would be the type of coach that would be able to get Thomas Castellanos to buy in and some of the bigger players around him, like Jalen Bradley, the transfer from Texas Tech.
And he goes on to talk about the personnel that he'd be able to bring to Boston College there. That's AJ Black of Locked On Boston College. Go check him out if you want to hear more and his thoughts on Bill O'Brien and such. My thoughts on his thoughts are that I agree. Bill O'Brien was the head coach at Penn State, head coach of the Houston Texans, relieved of his duties. Where does he go? He's the offensive coordinator at Alabama. What has that position historically generated? Future college head coaches. That's what. Whether you're an offensive or defensive coordinator. The Nick Saban tree of coordinators that have become or are currently serving as head coaches is rather extensive. There are even names that some of you might have forgotten about, but the ones that you know most prominently at this point in time would be Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss and Kirby Smart at Georgia. Those two in the SEC. Bill O'Brien took that job. Then where did he go to be the New England Patriots offensive coordinator? Who was he working under there? Oh, that's right. Bill Belichick, just the greatest coach in the history of the NFL. The guy who has, 6 Super Bowl rings as a head coach. He's pretty good. He's pretty darn good. Josh McDaniels was not once but twice named a head coach in the NFL after serving under Bill Belichick. And Matt Patricia was named the Lions head coach once upon a time. It didn't go very well, but he was given the job because he'd worked under Belichick. And Joe Judge was the special teams guy, and the Giants wanted to give him the head coaching job. Why am I bringing this up on a college football podcast? Because Bill O'Brien's desire is clearly to be a head coach because he continues to take positions that generate head coaching opportunities because of the caliber of coach and the role that he is playing under said coach on his staff. And when you've been a head coach and you've had success as well, Bill O'Brien inherited a horrible situation at Penn State, turned him around. He went to the Texans, not an easy place to win. Ask the 3 previous guys prior to the arrival of DeMeco Ryans and C.J. Stroud, which looks like a match made in heaven up there, the Ohio State product. What exactly were they able to do once they got rid of Bill O'Brien? Oh yeah, not a lot. Not a lot. He was seen as crazy for wanting to trade DeAndre Hopkins. Then DeAndre Hopkins was promptly suspended for PEDs and whatnot, and he looked a little bit less crazy there. All of these factors, everything about his trajectory lines up to lead me to believe he has a desire to be a head coach. And if you have a chance to take over a Power 4 program, look, National Signing Day is 6 days away. It's not even that impactful anymore, which is speaking to the ridiculousness of the college football schedule. That makes no sense from a recruiting standpoint. It makes no sense from a marketing and publicity standpoint for your sport. Nothing about that lines up. But guess what? Few things about this wonderful, beautiful, greatest sport on planet Earth make a lot of sense anyway. So for Bill O'Brien, he is going to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Much like Ryan Grubb, he hasn't taken a single solitary opportunity to call a play. Why? Because he hasn't been there for that moment. Is there any precedent for that? Why, yes, there is. In fact, an individual who just got hired as the Raiders offensive coordinator instead of Chip Kelly is a guy by the name of Kliff Kingsbury. Kliff Kingsbury, once upon a time, was going to go be the offensive coordinator at USC. That is a high-profile program, much like Ohio State. Instead, he took a head coaching opportunity with the Arizona Cardinals, and he never called a play for USC. He'd pledged to be their OC and then said, nope, I got a head coaching opportunity right over here. So the precedent for Bill O'Brien to take that coaching job is absolutely there. And for a guy who may very well want to get back to the NFL, what first made him appealing as a college head coach? He took a situation that was not going to be easy to win, and he made them into a winner. And then he was hired to the NFL, and he had success. Well, now you've got a track record of success being a head coach in the NFL. If you were to go to Boston College and turn them into not even a conference title contender, just a perennial 7 to 9 win team, and do that for a couple years, do you think he'd get a phone call in the NFL? Because if Jeff Hafley, with the record that he put up over the last several seasons, was able to get a defensive coordinator position, Hafley was a head coach at Boston College, but Bill O'Brien would have been a head coach at Boston College with NFL head coaching experience, successful head coaching experience at that. Bill O'Brien's career lines up, and everything that he has done makes me think he wants to be a head coach. And if he were to go to Boston College, take that job, and turn them into, again, doesn't have to be a conference contender, though the ACC is not exactly the deepest conference in America. And in fact, I think of the Power Four, I think the ACC has the least amount of depth, which is why it once again could be a great opportunity for Bill O'Brien if his ultimate goal is to once again be an NFL head coach. Because if he goes to Boston College, where there is an opportunity in a realignment-driven ACC, where you've got Florida State and Clemson at the top, but are they going to be as strong as some people think they are or could be next year? Miami's still trying to figure things out with Mario Cristobal. Duke has a new head coach. North Carolina clearly has a ceiling with Mac Brown that they run into year after year after year. The opportunity is there to make them a mid to upper tier program for just a couple of seasons. If you were to go 7-5, maybe win a bowl game 8-5, then go 8-4, lose a bowl game again 8-5, and then go 9-3 the next year at Boston College, go look at the list of Boston College football seasons. It's not an easy place to win. It is not an easy place to win. And if Bill O'Brien went there, took that opportunity, bailed on Ohio State, he would do more for his NFL head coaching fortunes than if he were the OC at Ohio State. Because if you're the offensive coordinator there, I think that's something you're trying to parlay into becoming a head coach elsewhere. That's not going to lead you to being an NFL head coach. So would Bill O'Brien leave Ohio State? 100%. There's precedent with Kliff Kingsbury. I think Bill O'Brien wants to be a head coach again. I agree with what AJ Black of Locked On Boston College said. There are a lot of factors that make this a pretty solid pairing, and that could be the next move. And look out, whoever you are a fan of in this wonderful, beautiful sport that we call college football. Look out if Bill O'Brien gets hired, because no coordinator shall be safe. There's a new coordinator in Dallas-Fort Worth under Sonny Dykes at TCU. Does Andy Avalos make TCU a Big 12 contender? A contender again? Or was it all just a fluke?